I think I first saw him on the street in the fall of 1965. We didn't really know anything about Buddhism, and there was very little Buddhism in the West. And so we didn't know what a monk was. We didn't know what enlightenment was. We didn't know what karma was. We didn't know what taking refuge was. We didn't know what making merit. When I moved in the same building with the master, they told me, well, he opens his door every day at 7 o'clock. You can sit with him for an hour from 7 to 8. He does that every night. I was a little nervous, but the first time I went in, it wasn't very much light. It was pretty dark. And he was seated in full lotus. So you would just come in and sit on one of these cushions and leave. And so that was the other way that I got to know the master, because right away, as soon as I sat down, the energy was just much, much different than at San Francisco Zen Center. And it took me about 6 months to really have any idea of who he was. No matter how deep my meditational states were, that I could feel that he was a catalyst to the progress that I was making in meditation. He was really deeper inside me all the time than I was inside me. So that was very interesting. You know, I'd never experienced anything like that before. And when I realized that he must be a great enlightened master after about 6 months, I didn't know what great enlightened master meant, but that was what was going on in my head. I thought, how sad it is, you know, that in this culture, you know, how many people in the world could there be like this? Maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6? And we are totally ignoring him, and he's living in this slum building and nobody even knows he's here. Then what I did was I wrote all my friends and I said, I've discovered this great enlightened master. You should drop everything you're doing and come to San Francisco. And nobody came. And then right when I was about to give up, I got a letter from some classmates of mine who were married, who were also interested in meditation, and they said, we're coming to San Francisco. And I was so excited because finally somebody was interested in meeting the master, and they came and they ignored the master. They'd just come to see me, and he completely ignored them. And then, so then years later, I went to visit them in their home, and in their library, my friend had on the very, very top shelf a photo of the master that I had sent him. And I was very surprised because he'd never exhibited any interest in him whatsoever before. So I said, you know, what are you doing with that photo up there? And he said, well, do you remember when I visited you in San Francisco way back then? One day I was looking out the window of your bedroom, and the master was on the street below. And I looked down at him, and he looked up at me, and he said, don't look down on me. And so I put him up there, so he's looking down at me.